Middle-earth, home to many diverse races, from wizards to hobbits, goblins to dwarves, orcs to elves. Many stories have been created and developed in the world of Tolkien. To delve into the world, you can start here with DagoraC TV.
Sauron was originally a mayor. A mayor is a spirit that is ascended to Arda, Arda being the world, and originally a mayor of Orlais. Orlais is a holy one, or also named as the Valar, and he is a Valar of the Aratar. Aratar is the name for the 8 most holy Valar, and his original name was Marion. Marion became a great smith and forger and learnt from Orlais' great smithing skills. He was not a Valar, but he was one of the most powerful mayor, and more so than Gandalf and Saruman. In the early years, Marion was as he was created by Eru, good and fair. The Dark Lord Morgoth saw Marion as someone he could use to achieve his goals, and Marion saw the same in Morgoth. Sauron was that loyal to Morgoth that even after Morgoth was defeated, Sauron encouraged men to worship Morgoth as the one true god. The desires of the two, however, were different. Marion wanted to corrupt the minds of all that lived on Arda. Morgoth wanted to defeat the very matter of the people that lived there. Marion maintained his appearance of being faithful to the Valar, with the alliance of Morgoth that had begun recently. Marion used to feed Morgoth information of the secret meetings that the Valar and the Mayor would have. Sauron, however, left the Blessed Realm when Morgoth had created fortresses in the land of Middle-earth. He then announced his allegiance and was betraying the Valar. He remained a foe to the Valar and the free people of Middle-earth for the rest of eternity. The Sindar Elves and Beleriand called him Golthanar, and the Noldor, the Third Age Elves, named him Sauron. At first, he was Morgoth's spy. During the First Age, the Noldorin Elves left the Blessed Realm of Valinor, against the consent of the Valar, to go to Middle-earth and wage war on the Dark Lord Morgoth. The reason for this was Morgoth stole the Silmarils of Fëanor, gems from the trees in Valinor, which were incredibly powerful. Sauron was seen as Morgoth's greatest servant from the enemy, feared as a lord of dreadful beasts, shapeshifter, and also a sorcerer. Sauron commanded the fortress of Angband, which was in the Iron Mountains, and served as Morgoth's lieutenant. When the Valar Tulkas came and captured Morgoth, Sauron fled and could not be found. His hiding place was unknown. Morgoth was soon set free by Tulkas, and after a short time he left to corrupt the newly discovered race of men. Sauron now directed the war against the Elves, and took the elvish island Tol Sirion, and named it the Island of Werewolves. He left control to Droglin, the werewolf, and his herald Thringwithel, the vampire. After DagoraC, the fourth battle in the War of the Jewels, Sauron's hunters brought Gollum, which was a major player in the opposition. He questioned Gollum on Barahir, which is Aragorn's distant relative, and his father Beren, yet Gollum revealed no information to him. Gollum yielded information on the quest for the Silmarils, where Sauron tricked him into thinking his wife was captured. Sauron killed him shortly after the information was given. Sauron then captured Finrod and Beren, and after a strong fight with Finrod, Sauron threw them into a pit of werewolves, where they died. Sauron then sent out the wolves to attack Luthien, the lady in the Aragorn song in the Fellowship of the Ring, and Huan, which was a wolf hunter. Huan killed all the wolves and werewolves, including his servant Dragolan. When finding out where the two were, Sauron took the form of a werewolf and attacked Huan and Luthien. Huan subdued Sauron and yielded the tower to Luthien. Sauron was able to escape, however, in the form of a vampire. After this defeat, Sauron played little in the events of the First Age and hid from Morgoth somewhere in Middle-earth. By Second Age 1000, Sauron had enough power and established himself in the land of Mordor, building the Tower of Barad-dûr near Mount Doom. Sauron, like Morgoth, had begun building huge armies of orcs and trolls, and corrupted the hearts of men with illusions of power and wealth. Sauron wanted to bring the elves into his service, and even though he liked the race of men, he saw the elves as a much more powerful race. In an attempt to gain the elves, Sauron put on a fair illusion of himself and called him Anatar, Lord of Gifts. He befriended elvish smiths from Aegon, in particular the famous Celebrimbor. However, not all of the elves trusted him. Of note, Lady Galadriel, Lord Elrond, and Gil-galad of the High King of Noldor failed to trust him. To the elves he befriended, Sauron gave them knowledge and encouragement to make the Rings of Power. The elves made 19. In secret though, Sauron forged his own one Ring of Power to rule all of these elvish rings. Its inscription read,
"One ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all. And in the darkness find them."
However, as soon as Sauron put on the ring on his finger, the elves sensed his treachery and took the 3 most powerful elvish rings and hid them. Upset, however, Sauron went into them in open war, demanding that the rings were given to him. The elves, however, were able to hide the greatest 3, but Sauron took the other 16. To the men he gave 9 of these rings, knowing that this race would be easy to enslave. The dwarves he gave 7. The dwarf lords were very resistant to his power and not enslaved to Sauron's ring. The rings instead made the dwarves have an insane lust of goals, which ultimately caused them a great deal of trouble for Durin's folk. As Sauron predicted, the race of men were quickly enslaved and became the Nazgul, Sauron's deadliest servants. Most of the free men of Middle-earth succumbed to the power of the ring when the Nazgul were formed. The elves were not caught as they were able to foresee the treachery in Sauron and were able to fight back against Sauron. Therefore, Celebrimbor's resistance, and one of the most important events in Middle-earth history, was vital. Sauron became the Dark Lord of Mordor, and after many huge battles between the two sides, he nearly took control of all of Middle-earth in the War of the Elves and Sauron. The Númenóreans, who were not enslaved by Sauron because of the great distance between the two folk, were finally able to defeat Sauron in the last battle near Greyflood. Defeated but not destroyed, Sauron retreated to Mordor and started to rebuild his armies. Towards the end of the Second Age, Sauron was powerful once again, enough so that he could attempt to take control of all of Middle-earth, and took the titles like Lord of the Earth and King of Men. The men of Númenor, these are the descendants who fought against Morgoth, were offended by these titles and sought out to defeat him once more. In the second part of the Middle-earth Lore series episode on Sauron, discover how Sauron affected the shape of Middle-earth and how he rebuilt his power after losing the One Ring.